Hello and welcome. Tonight, the All Progressives Congress officially unveils the vice presidential candidate, Kashim Shettima, in a ceremony in Abuja. Hopes for victory in the 2023 elections as candidate also visits the president. Labour Party presidential flag bearer Peter Obi maintains that he has a structure strong enough to earn victory in the forthcoming presidential election. It's a sealed victory for Senator Ademola Adeleke, governor-elect of Osun State, with INEC issuing him a certificate of return and the Court of Appeal affirming him as PDP candidate for the election. Plus, federal government talks tough, declares proposed ASU solidarity protest by NLC illegal, warns against disruption of economic activities.
On business news tonight, bakers in the country set to embark on a 4-day warning strike from Thursday over hike in diesel price.
On sports news tonight, Super Falcons' Azizat Oshola is in the hunt for a 5th CAF Women's Player of the Year crown as she makes the final 3 shortlist for Thursday night's 2022 CAF Awards in Morocco.
And from Abuja, Federal High Court Abuja sets aside August 30th to rule on bill application for embattled Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari. Until then, he remains in Kuje Custodial Facility.
News from London. Sri Lankan MPs have elected the country's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as the new president, despite his widespread unpopularity with the public.
The final decision has been taken as the All Progressives Congress today unveiled Senator Kashim Shettima as the vice presidential candidate to run with the party's flag bearer, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. At the event in Abuja, the former Borno State governor says he believes in the Nigerian project and he will not allow religion be a distraction. While for Mr. Bola Tinubu, the 2023 presidential election is a must-win for the APC.
It's a carnival-like atmosphere ahead of the official presentation of the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Every available space inside the hall is taken by party faithful, including governors, party officials, and some federal lawmakers. For the governors, the party is fielding the best candidates for the top job.
Asiwaju is someone who has spent a lifetime building the Nigerian project, participating in a very imaginative way of unifying Nigeria.
The nominee of our party is someone that I've known for a very long time, who I served with as governor, and whose capacity, commitment, competence, and compassion I've always admired.
Before presentation proper, the national chairman of the party defends the choice of Senator Kashim Shettima.
The APC vice presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election is distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima. This is our vice presidential aspirant. Do we accept him? Senator Tinubu, our candidate, could not have made a better choice for a running mate. He chose a man he believes can partner with him to undertake the urgent task of our economic recovery.
In his acceptance speech, the vice presidential candidate asked Nigerians to unite and avoid religious fault lines.
About 30 years ago, Nigerians from both sides of the Niger came together to market the ideals of a ticket like ours. They overlooked the pedestrian attempts to politicize the religious affiliations of the presidential candidate and running mate and yielded to the message of hope and the manifesto of prosperity promised them. The MKO Abiola and Babagana Kingibe ticket defied the stereotype of Nigerians as hopelessly sectional and incapable of prioritizing reason over sentiments.
On his part, the presidential candidate of the party wants Nigerians to be wise in their thoughts and courageous in their actions in order to win the election.
We must win this election so that we can bring jobs, eliminate poverty, educate our children, bring up our grandchildren without thinking of religious division nor ethnic differences.
Though the decision on the choice of his running mate is prerogative, the party's presidential candidate says his choice is a product of wide consultation with party members.
And shortly after his unveiling, Senator Kashim Shettima visited President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House. Senator Shettima was accompanied by the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum. He told journalists after his consultation that President Buhari has promised to support the ticket.
He was quite pleased to host us. He was quite pleased with the honor done to him. And he has given us his word that he will campaign vigorously for the ticket for us to cruise home to victory in 2023 presidential elections. This is a reenactment of an event that happened 30 years ago, the MKO Kingibe ticket. I'm from the part of the country where we hail from. There are no divisions on the basis of ethnicity or religion. At the risk of sounding immodest, in Borno, we spent over ₦1 billion rebuilding churches destroyed by the Boko Haram in southern Borno. And this legacy has been continued by His Excellency Governor Babagana Umar Zulum. We have taken more Christians, pilgrims to Jerusalem, than some of the northern states headed by Christians. So that element, that history of inclusivity, that history of togetherness, what we need is competent leadership.
Meanwhile, the Muslim-Muslim ticket continues to generate mixed reactions. While some groups in the party consider it unacceptable, others believe the focus should be on quality leadership and performance. Our next report takes a look at the various representations.
Protesters at the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress are here to register their displeasure over the party's decision to field the presidential and vice presidential candidate of the same faith for the 2023 presidential election. Bearing banners with several inscriptions, the group under the aegis of APC House of Fulani Youth Forum vowed to continue the protest until the party does what they term the right thing.
This is on the heels that the APC presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a Muslim from southwestern Nigeria, and picking another Muslim from the northeastern part of the country as his running mate is politically and morally indefensible. We hold the firm conviction that such a move can boomerang with unpleasant consequences for the APC at the general elections. Hence, the need for the party's leadership to make haste to correct this error of judgment.
The leaders of Christian.
In another part of town, members of the youth wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria, North Central, are also unhappy over the situation.
We said no to joint Muslim joint Christian ticket. We are for equity and fairness. It is our belief that there should be no party with Christian presidential ticket, and there should be no party with Muslim presidential ticket. This insults the national interest and our inclusiveness as a nation.
However, another set of northern Christian youth have a different opinion, maintaining that the matter bedeviling the country should be the focus and not religion.
Today we are here to inform you that we are choosing to still pitch our tent with Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, because this ticket can fix the problems of insecurity that are disturbing our well-being, especially Christians in northern Nigeria. For us as youths, both Tinubu and Kashim have used mass employment of youths to reduce insecurity and improve the economic living conditions of our people.
The group is pledging to ensure that the party's presidential candidate makes the interests of Christians in the country a priority for his administration.
Staying with APC's choice of running mate, the leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, is dissociating itself from the bishops who attended today's unveiling of Mr. Kashim Shettima. Speaking to the media in Abuja, the vice president of CAN, Reverend Joseph John Hayab, says the people who attended the unveiling of Senator Shettima are not bishops, but those who did not have enough time to learn how to wear bishop garments. The organization says although the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is free to hire mechanics and other artisans and sew clerical garments for them, that efforts would only add to their many robes, but would not change the need for fairness and justice. CAN adds that while it appreciates the fact that Nigeria is in a democracy, there is no need to do funny and dubious things just to prove a point, because it will in the end bounce back. It's therefore advising Bola Tinubu's team to do what is right and stop the drama. We're staying with the APC tickets. The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, has been defending the Muslim presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress. Speaking on our political program, Politics Today, the governor says that this is not the first time the country will be having candidates of the same faith run the same ticket. According to him, from available statistics today, there are more governors and deputies.
It's not the first time in this nation that we have had a Muslim, we have had a president and his number two of the same faith. All people need to do is to go back and look at the history of Nigeria. This is not the first time also that we have had elections where somebody from the southwest has not picked somebody from the northeast, both of them the same faith. As a matter of fact, they won their elections. This is not the first time today in this country. You know, if you look at the number of governors that we have and the number of deputy governors that we have almost 64%, if you put governors and deputy governors, who are Christians, and then the remaining are Muslims. So over 60% of our governors and deputy governors are actually Muslims, actually Christians. You know, and it is the balance of these 40% that are Muslims. If you look at the, like right now in the whole South, the whole southern part of the country, you have 17 governors. Only one of those governors is a Muslim. Nobody is complaining about that. You know, so it is not a situation that you have had. Look at all the southern governors of PDP. Not one of them is a Muslim.
In part two, after the break, victory for governor-elect of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, as he receives certificate of return from INEC, even as Court of Appeal affirms him PDP candidate for the election. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The All Progressives Congress officially unveils vice presidential candidate Kashim Shettima in Abuja, hopes for victory in 2023 elections. Labour Party presidential flag bearer Peter Obi maintains he has structure strong enough to earn victory in the 2023 presidential poll. Victory for governor-elect of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, as he receives his certificate of return from INEC, even as the Court of Appeal affirms him PDP candidate for the election. And federal government declares proposed ASU solidarity protest by NLC illegal, warns against disruption of economic activities by Labour. with politics, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has reacted to the notion that his presidential ambition might just be dead on arrival for his lack of political structure. Speaking in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, after a closed-door session with the governor of the state, Mr. Obi dismissed the claim as false, saying the over 100 million people living below the poverty line are his strong structure. On his part, Governor Samuel Otom says Mr. Obi possesses an impeccable credential fit for the highest office in the land.
I've said it before when people talk about structure, that my structure are the 100 million Nigerians living in poverty, 35 million young people unemployed, those people who are finding it difficult to live as the people. Nigerians are today spending over 100% of their money on feeding. They are my structures. And above all, I have the most important structure, the Almighty God.
I commend him. And where we are today, I've always said we must look beyond politics. And we must work towards a joint working together to ensure that we rescue Nigeria and rebuild it. And I think that Peter Obi's credentials are very clear and everybody knows.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has presented the certificate of return to Osun State Governor-elect Senator Ademola Adeleke. The presentation comes after Senator Adeleke was declared winner of the July 16 poll, garnering 403,371 votes to defeat incumbent Governor Mr. Adeboyega Oyetola, who polled 375,027 votes. He dedicates his victory to his late elder brother, Senator Isiaka Adeleke, and the people of Osun State.
It's a brief ceremony in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, as officials of INEC, family members of the governor-elect, Senator Ademola Adeleke, and party officials gather to witness the presentation of the certificate of return. The venue could not accommodate a large crowd, but it was large enough to seat the important dignitaries. The Independent National Electoral Commission makes reference to the July 16 governorship election in Osogbo, which ended with Senator Adeleke announced as the winner.
Osun State gubernatorial election has come and gone. But I need to reiterate this point, that our democracy will be stronger if we come together to do the right things at the right time and for the people who are actually the beneficiaries of the democracy.
With the successful conduct of the Osun State governorship election, the Commission would like to assure Nigerians that this has become the standard of election management in Nigeria.
72 hours after the governorship election, Senator Adeleke receives his certificate of return. And in his usual dramatic manner, he leaves nothing to chance, placing the document under his arm.
This victory would not have been possible but for the goodwill of the patriotic men, young and old, who worked hard to make sure we reclaim our stolen mandate. I am overwhelmed by your love and support, and I do not take this trust you have bestowed on me for granted. Our state has now turned to a new page, and we can now look forward to a bright future and a path for progress and prosperity for our people. Others for insisting on free and fair election. I dedicate this victory to my late brother, the first executive governor of Osun State, His Excellency, Senator Isiaka Adetuji Adeleke, and every indigent of Osun State.
The stage is now set for the governor-elect to be sworn in and assume office at the governor's complex in Osogbo, the state capital, fulfilling his long-time ambition of becoming the governor of Osun State.
It's a double win for the Osun State Governor-elect. Senator Ademola Adeleke, as an appeal court in Akure today affirmed him as candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the July 16 governorship election. A faction of the PDP had taken Mr. Adeleke to the Federal High Court in Osogbo, asking the court to invalidate the candidacy of the governor-elect. Two factions of the party had held separate governorship primaries, producing two candidates, one of them, Senator Ademola Adeleke, and the other, Mr. Dotun Babayemi. Delivering his judgment, Justice Nathaniel Ayo Emmanuel held that the primary election conducted at the Wokdef Center in Osogbo, which produced Dotun Babayemi, is null and void. Away from politics, the federal government is not ready for any disruption that will affect the smooth running of government, as it warns the Nigeria Labour Congress not to embark on its proposed ASU nationwide solidarity protest, slated for July the 26th and 27th. The Minister of Information and Culture, Ms. Lai Mohammed, told State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by the President that the NLC is in no dispute with the federal government and as such considers its planned protest illegal. Our State House correspondent Gloria Mezuke reports.
The current face-off between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, which has inspired the Nigeria Labour Congress to join the wave of industrial actions, is central at this briefing after the Federal Executive Council meeting. The federal government is clearly disturbed about the threat by the NLC to demonstrate in less than 48 hours in solidarity and, as a matter of fact, deems it illegal.
NLC is supposed to be completely insulated from politics. Now, if you declare dispute with us, yes, you can go on strike. But this particular, NLC, asking and mobilizing people to come out on strike between 26 and 27 is clearly unlawful. The federal government is as worried as NLC and everybody. But the law is the law. What we are saying is that rather than what I expect NLC to do as umbrella body is to find solution, to join federal government in fight. And this is what they are part of the tripartite agreement that have been negotiating, with federal government on this ASU issue. So why are they now going out to take sides?
I will be surprised if he's going ahead with his neck to do a demonstration, knowing fully well that is not permissible in international labor balance. It's all about interest. And so when interest supersedes the correct reasoning, you get this kind of situation.
Just as ASU declares that there is no going back on the strike action, it insists that the issues at the core of the dispute can be resolved within 2 days, a position the Labour Minister apparently aligns with.
It is a voluntarism situation. The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks. My proposal to meeting was 1 week for him to handle. And he said, I need more than 1 week. In 2 weeks, sir, everything, I hope, will be resolved.
Another concern is a recent threat by the Aviation Union to shut down airports as a way to compel speedy resolution to the impasse.
Of this. And yes, I am concerned. And yes, we have spoken to them. And I don't think they will join because they know that there is huge responsibility of lives on their heads. If you're an air traffic controller, it involves national security. It involves the capability of preventing external aggression.
In a statement released today by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu, the presidency maintains that at no time was the Labour Minister asked to hands off the negotiation, maintaining an optimism that agreements can be reached in less than 2 weeks with the cooperation of all parties. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigerian bakers threaten to embark on a 4-day warning strike starting from tomorrow over the hike in prices of petroleum products. That's on Business News. Do join us again. Welcome back, and we're off to Abuja studios where Gloria Mizoke is standing by with more stories. Hi, Gloria.
Hello, Millicent. Well, here in Abuja, we begin with the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCP Abba Kyari, who's been narrating his experience during the July 5th Kuje custodial facility jailbreak by insurgents in Abuja. Addressing the court through his counsel, Mr. Onyechi Ikpeazu, Mr. Kyari says he hid himself from the insurgents. He further says that though the terrorists had opened all the gates and forced all inmates to escape, he, along with 4 other members of the police intelligence response team that were also remanded, declined to flee.
It is the 3rd day of the trial of the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCP Abba Kyari, at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Aside his trial, he is asking the court to grant his fresh application for bail on the grounds that the Kuje jailbreak has established an exceptional circumstance that should warrant the court to release him and his men on bail, pending the determination of the charge preferred against them by the NDLEA, as they have shown that they will not jump bail. His counsel, Mr. Onyechi Ikpeazu, contends that following his suspension by the police and being in detention for over 5 months, he does not have the capacity to interfere with witnesses that the agency intends to produce. He further prayed the courts to ignore the NDLEA's argument that he and his men are being investigated over their alleged complicity in money laundering. On its part, the NDLEA urges the court to refuse the defendant's fresh application for bail on the grounds that there was no evidence to prove that they were being confined with criminals at the correctional facility. Meanwhile, the court has admitted in evidence over $61,000 which Abba Kyari allegedly offered the NDLEA as bribe. The court admitted the money as an exhibit after the NDLEA tendered it in evidence through its 3rd witness, Mr. Peter Joshua, a chief superintendent of narcotics and an ex-exhibit officer attached to the FCT command of the agency.
Well, the circumstances has changed. Everybody now knows that Kuje prison is not safe, despite the assurances given by the prosecution. You know that the defendants were hardworking law officers that have succeeded in securing several convictions. So we urge on the court the consideration of these facts for the grant of the application for bail.
The case is moving as expected because it's easy to allege but very difficult to prove what you are alleging.
The trial judge, Justice Emeka Nwite, has adjourned the case to August the 30th for the ruling on Abba Kyari's fresh application for bail.
One of the Chibok girls who just regained her freedom, 23 years old Ruth Beatrice, has been speaking about her ordeal while in captivity. Although she's yet to rejoin her family in Chibok, Borno State, she says she went through difficult times for the period she was abducted by terrorists. She's currently undergoing debriefing and profiling under the state government before she's released to her family. Well, there's palpable fear at the Arthur Jarvis University, Cross River State, following the abduction of a female student by gunmen. The school authorities, in a statement by the acting registrar of the institution, Mrs. Ogaz Ngozi, confirmed the incident. Well, sources confirmed that the incident happened as some students were returning from their night's revision to the hostel when the gunmen accosted and abducted one of them. Others who escaped from the attack sustained various degrees of injuries. The police spokesman in the state, Irene Ubo, says the force had drafted anti-kidnapping and other units to the area to forestall breakdown of law and order. Well, the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, has flagged off a youth-focused program known as the Niger Delta Talent Hunt, NIDATH, to explore their creative talent in the entertainment industry. Well, during the flag-off ceremony of the Commission's headquarters in Port Harcourt, the interim administrator of the agency, Dr. Effiong Akwa, said the NDDC would continue to create programs to address the challenges of youths in the region. In a statement by the Commission, Mr. Akwa says the focus of the initiative is to identify talented young people, develop them and expose them to the world, to the various opportunities within the creative space in Nigeria and around the world. Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Gloria. We continue here with company news. Despite the huge potentials in the non-oil sectors, experts believe that they are yet to be fully explored, causing a serious setback in the diversification of oil-dependent economy. This is the thrust of deliberations at the Zenith Bank Annual International Trade Seminar on non-oil export, a CSR initiative designed to galvanize discussions around various opportunities in Nigeria's non-oil export business.
In my family, we believe life should be simple,
For the 7th consecutive year, Zenith Bank hosts a platform that enables trade practitioners and other relevant stakeholders to explore increasing opportunities in Nigeria's non-oil export sector. A brief reflection of the successes recorded gives a clue, while the financial institution is keen on advocating non-oil trade as the treasure pot of the country against the over-dependency on crude oil.
We can say of a fact that since we started the advocacy, that there's a gradual improvement in terms of the flows we are getting from non-oil exports.
The founder and chairman of Zenith Bank PLC, Jim Ovia, believes that non-oil export potentials has grown beyond goods to include services in financial technology.
We have so many brilliant young boys and girls who are beginning to demonstrate we could do this in Nigeria if we support them. Not as much as the oil companies we need, but definitely we now know these are the areas that will make Nigeria to grow and do exceedingly very well.
In his keynote address, the president of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, reveals several export opportunities that abound in Nigeria.
I mean, you look at bitumen that we build roads for, is 100% imported into the country. Whereas we have massive reserves, we should be able to supply to the rest of African countries. Development of this sector presents a great opportunity for diversifying the earnings. Achieving 5% of share of GDP could generate $20 billion of exports.
In providing answers to why most Nigerians lost interest in non-oil export business, despite its potentials, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria cites the ease of doing business.
There are still many more improvements that need to be made, such as addressing port congestion and multi-agency collaboration, that I believe that concerted and coordinated efforts are ongoing to address them as well.
The International Trade Seminar features a panel of discussion for operators and trade practitioners to provide in-depth analysis to earlier presentations. Participants also had an opportunity to explore goods and services exhibited by non-oil exporters at the event. The organizer, Zenith Bank, says it hopes that the engagement evoke programs and policies that will elevate the practice and the business of non-oil activities in the country.
For more business stories, here's Anne Wilder.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank Thank you, Millicent. Hello and welcome to Business News. Bakers in Nigeria are set to embark on a 4-day warning strike from tomorrow, Thursday, July the 21st, over the high cost of baking materials due to hike in diesel price. In a statement today, the bakers, under the aegis of the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, asked the federal government to stop charging a 15% wheat development levy on imports. Meanwhile, the president of PBAN, Emmanuel Onora, said that it also requested a downward review of the 154,000 naira penalties charged the bakeries on late renewal of certificates by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC.
The government must show concern because as small businesses, we are the drivers of the economy. If all the bakeries go extinct, I mean, bread is a staple. It's a food that every Nigerian wants to have on their table. And if it is dried up, then it's going to exacerbate the current challenges we are facing in the country. And we don't want that to happen. And then 2, 3, NAFDAC as an agency, as Premium Bread Makers, we've written NAFDAC severally and our sisters association. Do you look at this? You want to register a pack size. NAFDAC will charge you 30,000. But when they want to renew it, they don't even give you any prompt. They don't give you any prompt. Maybe like a week that they do in auto reg. The next thing is when you are going to renew, NAFDAC will say you should pay 154,000 for a pack size. Where is that done? We've written to NAFDAC professional, Prof. Adeyeye. Nobody answered us. We've reminded them, nobody answered us. How can a country run on that kind of impunity where government agencies don't even want to interface with the associations or the industry they are regulating? They are our regulators. And then 4, there's multi-sectoral, multi-agency regulation of bakery industry, SON, NAFDAC. Every agency wants to regulate the industry. They think there's a cookie jar for everybody there. They bust into the bakeries sometimes without notice, and all they're asking for is the same thing.
The Senate has confirmed the nomination of Mr. Joe Ohiani as Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC. The nominee's confirmation follows the consideration of the report of its Committee on Works. Presenting that report during today's plenary session, the chairman of the committee, Senator Adamu Alero, says that the committee recommended that after careful and diligent assessment of the nominee's extensive resume, performance during the screening exercise, knowledge, experience and character, he is suitable for confirmation as the Director General of the Infrastructure Regulatory Commission. Several businesses and livelihoods across the country were negatively affected by blackout today as Nigeria's electricity grid collapsed for a 7th time this year. In a message to customers, one of the major electricity distribution companies said the national grid collapsed today at about 11 a.m. And this is coming just over 1 month after the national grid suffered a system failure on June the 13th. Meanwhile, the DISCOs say they are in talks with the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to find the cause of the collapse and possible restoration of power supply. It's a red day today at the close of trade. The domestic stock market has suffered sell-off, hit the share price of some key components of the equities listed. An increased volume turnover also happened today. John Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the stock market report. Another red day at the NGX today as the all-share index shed 0.23%. The fall is much deeper than yesterday, but still within the 52,000 level, and the market cap is still hovering around the 28 trillion naira, while the market lost 66 billion naira. Well, looking at the activity charts now, displays mixed sentiment with volume and value up, but not telling much about the sentiment of today's trade. For a third consecutive day, the banking counter is down. This counter may as well serve as a barometer for the market. Today, it shed more than 0.5%, and that's because Tier 1 lenders, GT Co lost 55 kobo, Access Co lost 10 kobo, while UBA shed 10 kobo. Looking elsewhere now, profit-taking activity seems very persistent on the consumer goods counter, reducing the index by more than 1%. And this may have lessened the share price of Nigerian breweries by 3 naira 50 kobo to close at 49 naira 75 kobo. Dangote Sugar was also affected today. It lost 10 kobo to close at 16 naira. Another counter hard hit today is the oil and gas. That counter lost almost 1%. Internal Oil contributed to this. Its share price lost 18 kobo to close at 6 naira 80 kobo. Not even the 2 kobo gain on Japan Gold, which inched the share price close to 27 kobo, could save the day. Now, should this be attributed to the hawkish stance of the CBN as it raised rate for the second time? Well, we'll understand better tomorrow following investors' reactions. That's the stock market report. I'm Imi John Mekwa.
And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawodo. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Millicent.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. There are fears of further unrest in Sri Lanka after MPs elected Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as the country's 8th president. Mr. Wickremesinghe, who protesters have been calling for weeks to resign, won a comfortable victory in Parliament. Simon Pusey has more on this and other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Sri Lankan MPs have elected Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as the country's new president, despite his unpopularity with the public.
Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Mr. Wickremesinghe faces the task of leading the country out of its economic collapse and restoring public order after months of mass protests. He roundly defeated his main rival for the job, Dulis Alaparuma, with 134 votes to 82 in the parliamentary vote. However, protesters vowed to continue demonstrating, chanting, "We won't back down," arguing the new president is too close an ally of the Rajapaksa political family. Sri Lanka's ex-president Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country last week, flying to the Maldives and then Singapore, after thousands of protesters stormed his presidential residences and other governmental buildings. Heat records have tumbled and firefighters faced new blazes as much of Western Europe baked in a grueling heatwave. Germany saw its hottest day of the year so far, while Portugal raised its death toll after days of excess heat. Deadly wildfires have swept the continent. The UN's World Meteorological Organization warned there was worse to come. Fire brigades in Tuscany and northern Italy have continued to battle wildfires, forcing hundreds to evacuate near the town of Lucca. The UK, normally used to milder climates, saw temperatures of more than 40 degrees Celsius for the first time, with localized fires breaking out in urban areas across the country. Heatwaves have become more frequent and more intense and last longer because of human-induced climate change. The US says Russia plans to annex more Ukrainian territory using a similar playbook to its takeover of Crimea,
in direct violation of Ukraine's sovereignty.
Citing US intelligence, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said Russia is already laying the groundwork for annexation. He accused Russia of installing illegitimate pro-Russian officials to run occupied regions of Ukraine with the aim of organizing referendums on becoming part of Russia. Russia has already installed its own regional and local officials in parts of Ukraine it has occupied. The European Union has set out emergency plans to reduce gas demand within months, warning countries that without deep cuts now could struggle for fuel during the winter if Russia cuts off deliveries. Europe is racing to fill its gas storage ahead of winter and build a supply buffer in case Moscow further restricts supplies in retaliation for European support for Ukraine in its war with Russia. Russia's Gazprom has already halted deliveries to some EU states. The European Commission will urge countries to prepare for possible further cuts by slashing gas use. EU officials said the target would be for a 10 to 15% cut in gas use. South Africa's acting public protector has announced it will issue a subpoena for President Cyril Ramaphosa to answer questions about the robbery at his game farm in 2020, in which $4 million is alleged to have been stolen. Mr. Ramaphosa missed an 18th of July deadline to reply to the country's corruption watchdog. In June, the watchdog opened a probe over potential breaches of the Executive Ethics Code after Mr. Ramaphosa was accused of bribing burglars to keep quiet. Questions being asked as to why he might have had that much cash stored at a personal property. Boris Johnson has faced Sir Keir Starmer in his last PMQs as Prime Minister before Tory MPs decide which two candidates will compete to replace him.
Probably, certainly, there will be.
Boris Johnson said farewell with some customary humour before the leader of the opposition wished him well for the future.
But I would like to take this opportunity to wish him, his wife and his family the best for the future.
I want to thank everybody here and hasta la vista, baby. Thank you.
And finally, the village of Jenakpeng in northern Ghana is miles from any airfield, but nonetheless it proudly boasts 6 aeroplanes in the middle of a field. 16-year-old Adil Latif Zakaria filmed the planes via a drone hundreds of meters into the sky. The world-renowned artist Ibrahim Mahama brought the planes to the village late last year, drawing a daily stream of visitors to the multi-acre compound that Mahama has for 3 years been building into an open-door communal education hub. It's hoped the planes will inspire local children from the region to learn more about science and technology. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. It's less than 24 hours to the much-anticipated 2022 CAF Awards holding in Morocco, and the organizers have unveiled the top 3 for all the Women and Men Player of the Year. A Super Falcons forward, Azizat Oshola, could be online for a record 5th success at the CAF Awards for the African Woman Player of the Year. However, she faces stiff opposition from the Cameroonian Ajara Njoya and new entrant Grace Chanda of Zambia. In the men's category, former winners Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane of Egypt and Senegal will have to battle it out with Senegal shot-stopper Edouard Mendy, also a newcomer in the 3-man list. The event will hold in Rabat, Morocco. Landmarks across Australia and New Zealand have been lit up in colourful ceremonies to mark the one-year countdown to the 2023 Women's World Cup, which will be jointly hosted by the two countries. The 32-team tournament, the first in the Southern Hemisphere, will kick off in Sydney and Auckland on July the 20th next year, when Australia's Matildas and New Zealand's Football Ferns play their opening matches. Nigeria Super Falcons will also be a part of the event after picking their qualification slot by reaching the semi-finals of the ongoing Women's African Nations Cup in Morocco. FC Barcelona have unveiled Poland striker Robert Lewandowski as their latest signing at an event in Miami earlier today. Barca completed the signing of the 33-year-old from Bayern on Tuesday, and Lewandowski joined the team on their US preseason tour. Lewandowski, who had 12 months remaining on his Bayern contract, moved to Barca for 4 to 5 million euros with 5 million euros in add-ons. And the 11th edition of the African Arm Wrestling Federation Championship will begin in Lagos, Nigeria on Thursday, July the 21st, with 12 countries participating. Other countries include host and former African champions Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, Madagascar, Togo, Niger Republic, and Egypt. Others are Somalia, Benin Republic, Guinea, Mali, and Senegal. The Team Nigeria will present a 42-man team made up of athletes in the junior, youth, senior, and masters categories for both the able and special athletes. And that's Sports News. I'm Ayotunde Balogun.
And the main news again. The All Progressives Congress APC today officially unveiled its vice presidential candidate, Senator Kashim Shettima, in Abuja. The party said the hope for victory in the 2023 elections as mixed reactions within and outside the APC continue to trail the Muslim ticket. Also today, the federal government declared the proposed ASU solidarity protest by the NLC illegal and warned against disruption of economic activities by labour unions. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Melissa Poroka. Have a good night and stay safe.